What's up, Hero Stock Nation?
I've walked through the valley with my head on low, carried my questions down a long back road. There were nights I believed I was out of your reach, like you couldn't hear me, like you wouldn't see. But even in the cold where my hope felt gone, you were closer than the breath in my lungs. So I won't run, I won't hide. When my world caves in tonight, I know where to go, I know what to do. When the night is at its darkest and I can't find my way through, when the silence starts to scream and the dark tells me I'm alone, so I drop to my knees on this stone and I watch you split the shadows open. You already won this war. Jesus, you defeated darkness with the only thing you can't fight. Light. Only thing you can't fight. Light. I felt that way like a storm in my chest. Tried to stay strong, but I'm desperate for it. All the lies whisper you're too far now, but mercy is louder than the grave somehow. You don't flinch in my weakness, so turn away. You step into midnight and call it day, so I won't run, I won't hide. When my world caves in tonight, I know where to go, I know what to do. When the night is at its blackest and I can't find my way through, when the silence starts to scream in my heart, tells me I'm alone, I fall down on my knees on this stone and I watch you split the shadows open. Cause you already won this war. Jesus, you defeated darkness with the only thing it can't fight. Light. The only thing it can't fight. Light. You don't just push back the dark, you break it apart. You don't just calm my fear, you draw me near. Every chain, every ghost, every shadow I've known, it has to let me go. When you speak hope, you are the dawn on my worst day. You are the peace when I can't pray. You are the hand that holds my heart. You are the fire in the dark. When the night is at its blackest and I can't find my way through, when the silence starts to scream in my heart, tells me I'm alone, I fall down on my knees to the stone and I watch you split the shadows open. Cause you already won this war. Jesus, you defeated darkness with the only thing you can't fight. Light. Only thing that ends the night. Light. Only thing that heals my eye. Light.
What's up, Heroes Talk Nation? Welcome back to the Roundtable where Heroes Talk. Tom Lamog here with Matthew Jones. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Tom, it feels like it's been forever, man. What are we doing? Where we been all this time?
It sure has been a while. I've had a couple of unfortunate reschedules, but hey, that's how it works. I know, let's see, we had Mike Ponder who had some weather challenges that prevented him from coming on the show with us. We also had Tim Zock, who was planned as well too, and we had some scheduling conflicts there. So we're going to reschedule the two of them for the summer. But we got to get to the elephant in the room, the big announcement with Hero Stock, right?
Okay,
I don't know if you've been
the elephant
taking
in the room.
the elephant in the room. Who's going to be performing at Hero Stock 26? Who's going to be showing up in the way of the vendors and such. But more importantly, probably most importantly, who is going to be over at the writers round? That's exciting news to me, is because I happen to have interviewed at least three of the four. We don't know who the fourth one is yet, but
Yeah,
three of
who's
the
the
guests.
fourth? That's what I want to know.
Well,
Who's
let's
number
we we
four?
we really should name those artists, those combat veterans who have become songwriters. Number one, the first person that comes to mind is Derek Thompson, and we know and love Derek. He's a USMC veteran. We've had him on the program. We've had some footage of him actually diving off a cliff and telling
Yeah,
all of
yeah, some
that.
crazy stuff, man.
And we also had Anthony Segovia, and Anthony, USMC veteran as well too. He's also going to be gracing us with his music as well too. We had him here at the round table. And who was
Yeah,
the
just
third?
recently,
Yeah, who was that third person?
the third. I mean, I don't know.
I think his initials are MJ. I think his
Yeah,
name is
yeah, no,
MJ.
it's me.
You.
I got lucky enough
I
this.
heard you were like,
Yeah.
yeah, so likely to do that. You must be excited.
I am. I am excited. I love writing music and I love telling stories. And this is an opportunity for me to get up there and do a bit of both and kind of, show people, kind of the music behind the man. So it's an interesting opportunity. I'm excited to play with Anthony and Derek. And
Yeah. And
who
who's
is
number
number
four?
four?
I guess we'll find out. This is going to be at Hero Stock 2026. It's a country music festival and resource fair. It's coming August 15th at the Country Drive Golf Course in Ashland, Nebraska. We're going to talk more about that later. But right now, it's time to get to the business at hand. Today's guest has lived a life defined by resilience and reinvention, from serving in the United States Marine Corps after 9/11, facing life changing injuries in combat, to overcoming personal struggles and finding purpose through music and creativity. His journey is one of perseverance and transformation. Please welcome our guest tonight, Buddy Lee Dobberteen, to the roundtable. Buddy, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Just living the dream, living the dream. Just thank you so much for having me. This is a big honor.
Well, it's great to have you. It's been quite interesting finding out who you are. First of all, we
Mhm.
know that you have a number of connections here through music, and one, of
Mhm.
course, being Shannon Book, and Shannon is like our first interview here at the roundtable,
Oh,
and a good
Doc.
friend of Hero Stock as well too. And we saw, yeah, in the research that I was doing, it's kind of like, oh, he's actually shaking hands. He's kissing the top of Shannon's head. So,
Yeah, he's like
and,
one of my best friends. He's my brother.
oh my goodness. I mean, the research that I remember from the last couple of weeks, not only a talented musician, and it shows with this opening song, just one of many songs.
Mhm.
You're a storyteller and a songwriter. You've dabbled in professional sound engineering, and most recently, a game developer. And
Yeah, I started developing games.
very, very interesting stuff here. And I know
Tom, I
that
gotta I gotta interrupt you. You can be my buddy because everything we just talked about right here is everything that I'm interested in. All
No,
right, so
uh,
yeah, you're gonna be my buddy.
that's awesome. Let's, you know,
man,
hey,
we got a lot to cover, obviously. So if you strap yourself in, buddy, and let's first of all start off with the motivation behind writing this song that we played for everyone called Light.
Well, I've always been a mental health, you know, I'm an abuse survivor as a kid. Every kind of abuse you could think, sexual, mental, physical abuse. I was abandoned as a child, and pretty much my parents just kind of gave up. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I just, fell apart, and I'd started doing some prison ministry, and I was sitting in a room, and I decided I was going to kill myself on the way home. I was going to pull over and shoot myself, and um, this pastor come up. His name is Brian Hannis, and he had said, buddy, I don't know why, but God's telling me to tell you something that the only thing that's ever going to defeat the darkness is the light, and Jesus is the dawn of your worst day.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me, and I wrote that down on a phone app. And we didn't go to that church for several years. I'd gone to a different church, and then we started going to that church. And first time we walked in the door, there's O'Brien preaching, and I remember what he said. And I looked through my phone, and up popped a message from like 12 years earlier, in the in the notes, like those old
Yeah.
notes you can find. And I'd found that lyric, and I sat there right during church. I should have been paying attention, but I wrote that song. And then I came home, wrote like 90% of it. I came home, and I started noodling on the guitar and then messing around. And through some programs, I was able to knock that out pretty quick.
Not a guitar in that song, but there is some beautiful
Hmm.
voice work.
Hmm.
The lyrics themselves, as they come up on the screen,
Hmm.
um, very captivating. Can you talk about how is it that you were able to pull together these lyrics with all of these different emotions that are on your mind?
It
Um,
was so tough because, like all of us, like I'm a suicide survivor kind of thing. And um, it's, God is the only thing that ever changed my mind in my life. And, I've been sober now 19 years, and that's only by the grace of God. I'm not going to get all preachy because I don't want to turn a lot of people off, but, hallelujah. I've been sober 19 years. And, when I'm convicted of things, um, it's like hits me where before I didn't care. Like you can talk to Doc Book. When I was in the Marines, it was Sergeant Dov. I was whooping ass. Excuse the language, but that's what it was. I was a psychopath, and to see what God has done in my life is just unbelievable.
Do you feel like maybe, like you had mentioned, kind of, the things you had experienced as a kid? Do you think that was kind of the driving force that pushed you towards the military, like some form of discipline? And
Absolutely, absolutely. I needed discipline. I was an alcoholic and electrician, and I was fighting all over the Midwest boxing. And one day I was driving down the road coming down home from Detroit, and at that time I was living in Michigan, and I saw a USMC sign on the road, and my brother-in-law was a recruiter at a Jackson, Michigan recruiting office. And I originally was going to pull in, and I didn't know if I was going to join the Army or Marines or what. I just knew I was going to join something that day, and I pulled in, and I was like, I'm gonna be a Marine.
you're just like, I'm going for big air.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I want to be, I want to, I mean, everybody wanted to be a sniper. I joined September 10th, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
I joined the day before 9/11.
oh,
Um, and I went in infantry. I was going to be reservist recon. Back then, you could, you know, sign up for a reservist recon unit. And then if you didn't make a reconnaissance unit, they'd send you to like a grunt battalion. So I was like, hey, I'll try to be a recon Marine, and signed up, went to basic training, MCRD, California. And during SOI, I told my parents, I said, hey, I'm not going to be a reservist. This first sergeant came out and he's like, hey, man, you should be a raider. And I was like, what is a raider? Like, he's like, yeah, man, you can go to a boat company. I think, like you could be a scout swimmer, salt climber. This is pre-MARSOC, like 2 years before MARSOC even spun up. That's what I did. I went to a boat company, became a boat raider, as they say, alpha raider.
Was it kind of
Uh,
like that throughout the time that you served, where maybe you thought like, yeah, maybe I'm good, maybe I'll get out, and they go, well, you could be this, and you go, what's that? And they go, oh, it's this, and then you're like, yeah, I'll do that.
Kind of. I went to boot camp. I was only in for 5 years, but I did 3 combat tours, and I got hurt. I got jacked up on my first, deployment. And on the way back, they said, we're taking volunteers to go back to pull out the army. And went back for a little bit. Um, then I was a platoon sergeant or one of the sergeants with PSD and was with 3-1 in Haditha, Iraq. They said, that whole incident. So I went with
Yeah,
3-1 to Haditha in 2006, 2005, 2006. I lost my best friend, one of my best friends on the day I got promoted to sergeant. He took my patrol and
yeah, you can't carry that, bud. That's not you.
yeah,
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 yeah. Like you said at the beginning, the only thing that defeats darkness is light, and the only thing that lights a fire to defeat that is Jesus Christ. So you're in good hands, man.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So after you got back, was this your first tour to Iraq, or was this a little later on?
My third.
Was this your third?
The first one I went with Shannon Book. My first, first I think second we went with Shannon. So
So you and Shannon, you guys have been friends ever since then.
his corpsman that he trained saved my life. I was bleeding to death, and they saved my life. I mean, they they stitched me up, Humpty Dumpty, back together again, and got me medevac. So
Yeah,
yeah, he's been my buddy since 2001. I mean, or 2002, early 2002, real early. The unit had just gotten back from um, whatever deployment before Iraq and Afghanistan. They had just gotten back, and me and Doc joined the unit.
Wow.
okay.
I don't think he ever shared that story with us in the conversation we've had, but he's known so many people and he's affected so many lives as well. Is there a moment from your time in the service that has stayed with you over the years? I mean, you're sharing some stories about people that you knew, people that have, you've crossed paths with, but is there a particular moment that still resonates with you as you make your way through life?
Yeah, I do. I had a platoon sergeant at the time. I think he got to be a master sergeant before he got out, but he was Staff Sergeant Romero. And I never had a dad really growing up. And he was like a dad. I mean, he was just knee deep in your. He was a former drill instructor, but in boat companies and recon and MARSOC, it's just a different world. It's like it's just this, like I remember we were laying on the beach, freezing to death, peeing in the water because you're just freezing to death.
I just need some warmth.
I just need some warmth. You're literally almost going into hypothermia. And I mean, that's the kind of brotherhood you have. I mean, spooning on a beach, reconning a beach, like on a boat raid. But with him, I'd never jumped off anything like high. I thought I did. And in Horno, that we had what's called Chesty, and it used to be like 60 feet tall. And jumping into a 25-foot pool, it was the deepest pool in Pendleton. So it was like jumping 85 foot. It looks like you're jumping down 85 foot, and I was terrified of heights. And that day he tells me, he goes, "You're gonna be an assault climber platoon." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you can do 18 pull-ups. You're gonna be in a climbing platoon, climb mountains, and you know, do whatever." And I'm like, "No, I can't. Send me to another platoon, please, because I'm scared to death of heights." And he says, "No, we're going on a run." He took us on a run. He took us to the pool and he says, "Look at the top of this huge tower that they tore down and made it half as tall. And it used to wobble." And they said, "Climb up there. You're going to jump off it." And I'm like, basically, like, "Excuse me, Staff Sergeant, but F you. Literally, I'm not doing that." And he grabbed me by the collar and he's like, "Get your ass up this thing." And before I knew it, I was at the top and he's right next to me. And in walks like First Sergeant and a few others. So I knew I couldn't get out of it then. He's like, "Three, two, one, we're going down. And if you stop and you hesitate, I'm knocking you out and you're going down anyways. And I'll
Oh
send your
man.
ass packing without this." Because either way, you're going to be a climber. We don't have enough bodies. At that time, we pretty much knew we were going to go to Iraq. He's like, "We don't have enough climbers." So we all thought we were going to Afghanistan, excuse me, to the mountains. And we had heard, Lance Corporal Underground, that they were going to do climbing missions because we did work with special operations a lot of times over there. Like everything we did, we worked with either force or battalion or, you know,
Yeah,
um,
in support of some other kind of element of the battlefield. Yeah.
so we go there and next thing you know, it's three, two, one. We jumped off the cliff together and everything we did together. When I got shot, um, he was there and, you know, he was there. And, I kicked in the first door in Iraq for my battalion and busted out a glass door, coming the inside, and stuff happened. And he was there right beside me. He was leading it from the front. He led our battalion from the front, or our Fox Company 2-1. He led from the front. Staff Sergeant DeMero did, or Gunny DeMero and Mass Sergeant, whatever that. Chris DeMero led it from the front. And we still talk quite a bit. Now I still talk to all the officers, and Friday I'm meeting up with our first sergeant major. We're going, and he's taking me to lunch. I mean, that's just the
Nice.
relationships we have.
That's awesome. Would you say that the esprit de corps and kind of the camaraderie that you found in the military is something that it's definitely worth holding on to even when you don't serve anymore. You know.
Absolutely. I remember my guys from 3-1 got me my 100%. One of the guys from my 3-1, and I was with Recon for a little bit, and I was with him there, and got he helped me get my 100%. Willie Buell, battalion commander, helped me get 100%.
Now, did you
Um,
have a lot of challenges with that, like most veterans? I don't want to say most veterans and speaking kind of overgeneralizing terms, but there are a few veterans who have a lot of trouble when it comes to claims.
I didn't have any problems. I mean, my
None.
claims were really open. Gunshot wounds. We lost about 30 Marines in the 3 units I was with. We lost about 30 Marines in my platoons or,
Yeah.
company. So, I mean, they
Yeah.
just instantly, and then I had, three suicide attempts, spent a month in the hospital. So, um, and I spent 10 months learning to walk again. So, I didn't have any problems. I mean, I got 90%. They gave me 100% unemployability right off the bat. And then this other Tim Diamond was like, "Hey man, you need to apply for 100% in case they ever swip that, unemployability out from under your feet." And because of him, I'm going back to college right now doing game development. Because of Tim Diamond, I'm going to game development. And one of our staff NCOs at my unit in 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines, Balls of the Corps, baby. I mean, he helped change my life. him and Willie Buell and Sergeant Major Sachs talked me into going to a treatment center for PTSD after my last suicide attempt. And I'm here and I don't have suicide attempts anymore. I don't have the suicide since for right now, I'm 2 years free since I've gotten all this help from having suicidal treatment. If you're out there and you're feeling like you're suicidal, don't be a puss. Go get some help. It's okay. Excuse the language, but it's okay to get help. I think you're more of a sissy if you don't get help. If you're killing yourself because you can't handle the pain anymore, trust me, I get it. But you don't have to feel the pain anymore. You can pass that burden on. You can let that burden go and you're not weak. You're okay. You can handle that burden like handing a baton it's like handing it to a counselor. That's how they described it to me. And my counselor worked with me. I got like, Doc, I don't think Doc will care I share this. I got him in touch with the counselor he sees today. I saw him in a dark place. I told him about her. He did all the work. I didn't do anything. I just, here's a number, call. Buddy a few times. Buddy bothered. Hey, did you call, Jamie and Jamie Howard?
Yeah.
And he did. And he did all the work, man. And look at the life he's living right now.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the life I'm living right now. There's freedom in Jesus, but there's also freedom in getting help.
Absolutely.
It's out there. There's hero stock. There's everybody out there. Every time I come on one of these podcasts, I tell the same story just because I'm like, hey, there's help out there, but you have to want it.
Yeah. I think that's probably the hardest thing is that, kind of thinking that we fall victim to the stigma and that what we think, makes us weak, cripples us and keeps us there, But like you said in your music, light is the only thing that defeats darkness. So my question would be, is this a message that you're trying to incorporate in the music that you produce and the activities that you're involved with, like video games? Is this what the message you're trying to push, like, kind of the hope beyond the storm?
Absolutely. I wrote a song that we're going to play later called Resurrection Road. And when you listen to this song, I wrote this with Dustin Welch, literally Dustin Welch. Kevin Welch wrote Millionaire for Chris Stapleton. This is back when I was in my darkest. I still drank. And I was at a veteran organization called Soldier Songs and Voices. Like first or second, I was the first veteran ever with Soldier Songs and Voices. First guy ever to sign up, I was the guy. And Dustin Welch was leading it then. And we're at a retreat, and he goes, yeah, man, like, he was just talking, and I just listened to what he talked, and I wrote it down. And that's why I was like, dude, you co-wrote this song. He's like, no, I didn't. I just said Resurrection Road. He's like, he wasn't a Christian, but he had the Christian message. So I was like,
Yeah.
that's what I did. That's like one of the songs I wrote.
I do have to say, Light has got that very kind of new age worship feel to it where, you really feel like you're just on fire for Jesus and nothing can stop you. So yeah, man, I'm excited to listen to Resurrection Road for sure.
Well, let's do that right now.
This lonely road keeps going on and on. Gravel spitting out beneath his worn out soul. Coyote howling like a long lost friend. Just a pack of aches and a lonesome mind. Lantern low and the whiskey's cold. Chasing down a man I was told to be, not told. All the lessons that I learned from you, said, boy, this world will break your bones, but it's your own lies that'll turn you
stone. I've stumbled drunk through 100 nights, kissed the ground where I lost the fight. You can fall face first in your own damn smoke. If you wanna know my past, from my first sin to my last, it's a long, hard stretch of sky where the wild dogs circle and cry. I keep walking bare my soul, walking on, walking on, walking on, walking on Resurrection Road. I've been paying my dues for a while now. Every lyric's just a stone I throw. On the heavy side of this heart I told, this lifespan on a dark heavy road, trying to trade my shame for a light of yours. If you wanna know my past, from my first sin to my last, it's a long, hard stretch of sky where the wild dogs circle and cry. I keep walking bare my soul, walking on, walking on, walking on, walking on Resurrection Road. You best stay in and out, for the ghosts round here don't whisper, they scream inside your mind. But somewhere past the pine line where the fog begins to lift, there's a cross of light on the hillside where the hurt turns into gift. If you wanna know my past, from my first breath to my last, it's a long, hard stretch of sky where the wild dogs circle and cry. I keep walking bare my soul, walking on, walking on, walking on, walking on Resurrection Road. Yeah, I'm walking on, walking on, walking on Resurrection Road.
Oh my God, I love it.
Talk
I
about
love it.
fire.
Absolutely love it.
My goodness, buddy.
Buddy, I think the reason I love it so much is because you're doing the same things that I'm trying to do with mine, right? I'm trying to, spread that message that, we can always be a beacon of hope instead of a lightning rod of hate, So to hear these lyrics coming out, I'm just like, yes, like I can get behind these any day. So great job, brother.
So much.
It's
Yeah.
inspiring, just to actually see just the lyrics come across the screen. It's like this is a uplifting, and it's like, oh my goodness, embracing life, right? Looking forward.
Yeah.
Man,
I just I got tired of the beer drinking, honky tonk, and I'll write them. Write them as good as
I'm
anybody.
writing one
out
right
there.
now.
But it's like I had to come to a conclusion in my life where I said, what is the message am I throwing it? Because there's a parable of the seeds, and I just keep thinking I'm throwing seeds out there. What seed do I want somebody to receive? Do I want them to get good seed, or do I want them to get a seed where cheating drinking song? I mean, I'm not saying I don't like them songs, but I'm just saying, like, for me and me personally, I had to come to that conclusion. I will not write a cheating song. I had to say that from the beginning. I'll never cheat on my wife. I mean, Lord willing, I never will cheat on my wife. I mean, I don't want to say that and then something happens crazy and I end up falling into sin. But Lord willing, I never want to cheat on my wife. I don't want to go back to drinking. I don't want to go do these things. And I said, what if I start writing good music that uplifts?
Mhm.
And I just sat there and prayed one day, and then it's like those lyrics started flowing through me, and I was like, okay, you know, um, I've written last year. I wrote 300 songs. This year, I'm already at Not many, only about 40. But
What?
um,
Only about 40? Brother, I don't even have 40 originals that I've written.
I
Okay.
got about 3,000 originals.
Okay.
Well, let me
I'm
ask you this.
just, I'm going to
Let me
sell
let
my
me ask
stuff.
you
We're
this.
done.
When
no,
it when you
some people write
define,
every day, and some people, like they write good ones, I guess.
I want you to define song though. Okay. I mean, is a song like three or four uh verses of a lyric, or is it there's a melody in my head? I mean, what do
There's
you
songs, man,
these are
like
like songs like what we just
what you
like
hear,
yeah.
because now we have so many different tools. And I'm not talking going to like Chat GPT and saying, "Hey, write me a song for this." That's not writing a song, people.
No.
That's
Right, right.
But what I'll do is I'll like make the melody,
Mhm.
I'll write the song, because like I'm so hyperactive. Like I've written 4 books in 3 years, 4 years. Well, one book took me 10 years, and then from there I broke it down into like 4 books. So I guess it took 10 years. I shouldn't say
Wow, I
that.
don't think I
So
came
we're going to,
across that in your bio.
yeah, we're going to
And you
add
can Google
author.
that, Buddy Lee Dobberteen. And
Okay.
I wrote the book The Sword of Autumn, which is my video games based off one of my video games. Road from Horno is a game. I took the Book of Acts and turned it into a first person shooter,
Okay.
because I want to
Okay.
make games
Mhm.
and music that kick ass, but yet still proclaim the gospel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
And
who
I don't
you are,
believe
right?
we have to just go out there and beat somebody over the head with a Bible to present a good message. And I'm
Mhm.
also saying we don't need to go out there and be lukewarm either.
Mhm.
You
Well,
can
that,
be
Yeah.
hot
that
and
I
on
think
fire.
I like to
It's,
believe that that is probably driven by like record companies and
mm-hmm,
executives. This is what sells, and what
mm-hmm,
you're talking about, it's just too authentic, and it
mm-hmm,
doesn't sell. And I remember that being an issue when the music industry started to sound like everything else that's out
mm-hmm.
there, a formula. So kudos to you, buddy. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, you really,
Um,
so you're taking and you're shifting the message. There's so much of this kind of greed that's depicted in the music that we hear today. It's money, it's
there is.
fame, it's
Yeah, I believe that.
notoriety, it's big houses. It's the Super Bowl, show. It's all this. Hey, look at me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and it's like, let's change the message. Let's say, hey, uh, promote some positivity over here.
Mhm.
And
Some
I think Nashville's doing that a little bit. I mean, with Brandon Lake and Jelly Roll. And do I think they're living authentic lives? No comment. That's all I'm going to say. But do I think guys like Brandon Lake, who are going around and collaborating with all these country guys? Amen. I mean, the thing is if that message hits one person, who cares what the original author is doing? Because that isn't their message, anyways. The original author, it, anyone that says, I am, okay, I may write these songs, but they ain't my songs. They're God's.
yeah,
So I, I sit there and think of stuff, and I try to spin my ideas on songs, and I write every day. I write every day, 7 days a week. I'm penning something. I don't always finish it, but I finish it about 80% of the time, because it's easy for me to come up with a melody. And the hardest part for me now is my melodies are starting to sound all the same. So I'll go back 5 or 6 songs, or I don't know, 10 songs, and I'll go, I got to rewrite this. Um, the thing is sometimes we're too critical on ourselves. You go to Nashville, and I learned this from Skip Black, and write it, digest it, fix it, and forget it. Move on to the next one, because I'm already 4 songs down the road. I knew a guy in Nashville that wrote 375 songs a year. My friend David Lee, he wrote 280 songs a year with full demos.
dang.
And that's before Suno days.
See, I don't know. Have you ever found it hard to kind of just let go of one to start anew? I think that's one of the things I struggle with. I have,
Resurrection
about
Road took me 10 years. That song you heard, Resurrection Road, took me 10 years.
why
Um,
do you think that one took you so long?
because I kept trying to be commercial with it, and
Okay.
I was telling somebody else's story, and I started writing it. I stopped, wrote it. I've rewritten that song probably 40 times. And I called Dustin Welch, and he had told me some things that wasn't pleasing to my ear that happened in his life, unfortunately. And Dustin's my brother. So if somebody messes with my brother, it's like messing with me. We'll just leave it at that. And I come back and I said, I'm going to tell the story that I originally started because I started thinking in my head commercial, 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 commercial. Can I get this song cut? Can I get this song cut? And on that song, I didn't try to think about getting it cut. I just told the story. And that was it.
Yeah.
And I sat down one afternoon, and if you know my sins, from my first sin to my last, it's a long, lonesome road. It's a long, lonesome road. It's a long uh, field to hoe. I can't remember what I originally had, and then I just edited it, and I wrote the melody, used AI on the demo, on that demo, and after I'd written the melody, you could, upload the melody, and that's my melody, my guitar, and some AI drums and some other things.
Mhm.
And I sent that out to Kevin Welch, and he was like, "This song's so good. You got to do something with it." And I'm glad you guys picked it because I have friends that keep saying this is a great song, and I always leave it in the quiver.
Well, thanks for posting that on your YouTube, and
Oh,
you
thank you.
can share where we can find that and all of your other music. Maybe now you can kind of, tell us where to find it.
Well, I got a SoundCloud and Buddy Lee Dobberteen on YouTube. I only post, the there's some personal songs I write.
Hey,
Some,
buddy,
yes, sir.
I'm just curious. I know that you said when you sent over the songs that you shared with me, these are songs that you've either written or you've co-written. Do you find that you're doing more of one over the other?
I actually quit writing with anyone. I just started writing by myself. I used to co-write every day. Like every day I had my calendar full. I was part of Songtown, and
Can you talk about that experience? I mean, what is collaborating involve?
well, a good thing about songwriting is it's like a Lego, and you can build your house. And you may find I don't like the green Legos. I like the red ones, or I like the blue ones. Maybe I'm good at building the walls, and my buddy's good at putting the roof on. It's so much like that in songwriting because, like, you could, like, I'm a Berkeley College of Music grad for songwriting. I did that right out of the Marine Corps. I went right to Berkeley College. Well, I went to Bible college, and then I went to Berkeley College of Music
Oh,
and took the songwriting. Pat Pattison was my instructor, one of the best songwriting instructors in the world. Pat Pattison was our teacher. Danny Morris, a lot of others. But in there, I learned to write every day. It's a habit. It becomes a habit, I guess. You know, for me, it became a habit, and it's a way I can get stuff out every day. And for years, I spent like 2 years where I wrote like maybe 5 songs. This is like 10, 15 years ago.
mm,
And it's hard to believe I'm saying it's that long ago, but
yeah.
I'd given up on music, and I was like, you know what? I just think I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And one day I had a buddy called Dustin Welch again, say, "Why aren't you writing songs anymore?" And coming over and rewriting songs. And I was like, well, because I'm just tired of life, dude. And he's like, write songs or I'm gonna kick your ass. There's little old Dusty telling me he's gonna kick my ass. I'm 6'2". I'm about as tall big as Shannon. Me and Shannon are about the same size. So, um, there you go. I mean, and I'm like, Dusty, what are you telling me that for? He goes, because you're just such a good writer and I love your music. And I used to think I wasn't good enough. I went to Nashville and I sat down with Trey Bruce, wrote Three Wooden Cross, one of the guys that wrote Three Wooden Crosses and a bunch of other songs. And Trey's like, buddy, I just don't think you have it. You should go to, and I was devastated.
Mhm.
And I don't take failure well. So I went home and I'm that kid that's like OCD. You say you can't do something, I say I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it. And I said I wanted to get some cuts, so I started writing songs like madman, and I just haven't stopped. I have stopped a few times, I guess, but I, in overall, totally, I haven't just given it up.
Yeah,
This
good.
isn't something that the Marine Corps drilled into you, is it?
No, no, this was my daddy. My grandfather had polio, and I watched him roof a house one year. He had polio. He didn't have any leg. He couldn't use his legs. So um, my daddy said, "You will not quit."
Hmm.
Wasn't allowed to quit anything as a kid. Like you work until your hands bled. And when I got in the Marine Corps, I could only do two pull-ups. I left boot camp doing 18. I mean, I just have a work ethic and I don't quit. Uh,
Well, good.
Not
That's
the
a.
smartest. I've never been the fastest. Obviously, I'm not the best looking. I got a voice for radio, not a face.
I just use the beard to cover it up.
That's awesome.
You've certainly have made your inroads with music,
Mhm.
songwriting. Obviously, you're a book author.
Mhm.
Um, you've left an impression with those you served with,
Mhm.
and uh, and then you decided that it was time to explore audio engineering. That came up on your
Yes.
bio.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
you could kind
love
of
audio engineering. I love it. The
was that the
room I'm
natural
sitting in,
progression? Was that
I
the
gave
natural
it up,
progression from
but
writing? You were done with writing, you're done with music. I'm going to go ahead and sit behind the controls now. How does something like that happen? Is it just,
necessity. I couldn't afford. My first record was $30,000, and I
Oh
said
my.
I'm gonna
What? Say
record
that again.
$30,000. Um,
well,
I had Jamie Oldacre do a record. It cost us $30,000. Um,
what
That's
does
just
that include?
absolutely
Can you
crazy.
itemize that for us?
I
Yeah.
had Gene Elders from Alan Jackson, George Strait's band.
Oh,
Um,
musicians. You're talking about the musicians.
oh, I had everybody, and I had a
Oh,
big
wow.
studio do it.
Is
It was
that
a
what we hear on your YouTube page and what you've been sending over these
Some
Nashville?
of the stuff, yeah, but
Oh, it's really polished, dude. It's
it was pretty polished.
really
I
polished.
didn't release it again. I just pulled it, and when I got into a stage where I thought I was better than people, I treated my band like garbage.
Oh, you do the usual musician route.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
I get
I
it.
jumped in head first. I was with the biggest guys in the business. I mean, I
Uh,
got to do a couple shows with like 38 Special, Leonard Skinner, with Jamie. I mean, these are with Jamie Oldacre. He's literally Eric Clapton's drummer, founded Brooks and Dunn, um, put together one of the original writers of Turn the Page. I mean,
oh boy.
Bob Seger, Eric Clapton, he's in Tulsa's Music Hall of Fame. Um,
Well, and as someone who's in audio engineering, what is there something that's out there that we may have heard that you're associated with?
Yeah, Welcome Home Project. The Welcome Home Project, I helped with that.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And you get to sit behind the controls and you get to go ahead and
I
mix
got to
them.
help a little bit, yeah.
Mhm.
And then stuff that I've mastered and mixed, I can send in, but I've done a lot of uh engineering. Like everything I've sent to you guys, I've mixed.
What
So
would you say is probably the most challenging thing about mixing and mastering your own work? Like what's a good pro tip, right, for someone out there trying to do it themselves?
It's the trick, man. And this is something told me. If it sounds good in a cheap radio, like a cheap Walmart special, if it sounds great in that,
Oh,
that's what 90% of the world is going to listen to, that or a cell phone now. One good thing is most people today have like iPhones or Androids. I email it to myself on a YouTube Gmail, excuse me.
Uh huh.
Send it to Gmail, and to me, I can download it on a cheap, I get off Walmart or whatever phone, and listen to it through two types of phones, because that's basically what the majority, they say 85% of the world listens to music on a phone now,
Huh.
or Beats or something like that. You
Yeah.
want to try something cheap.
I have
Um,
tried to compare that to like the old transistor radios. Remember those?
I have a radio in my garage that Jamie gave me.
Yeah.
I also have a record player that was Eric's, but that little radio, people say, "Why do you use this piece of crap?" I'm like, when I mix records, I use this because it translates to a car. It translates this. It's got to be transferable, because if you just have it, and the thing is like with uh, iTunes, it's so lossless. Music has lost its life. If you listen to the record Asia or whatever, or
Steely
Steely
Dan.
Dan,
Yeah.
you
Oh
listen to like
God.
Steely Dan. My
Which version?
mentor is
Are you talking about the CD version or the LP version? The vinyl version?
CD. Listen to how clear that sounds. Then go download an MP3.
Oh. Here, I'm going to tell you about an experiment I just did recently. All right. So in my truck, my F-150, I have a CD player. It's a 2018 F-150. Never played a CD on it. Only my iPod, my iTunes. And decided I'm going to go ahead and throw a CD in. I grab out Layla, all the assorted love songs. For the first time, I played that disc and cannot tell you how different, how much better it sounded than what was coming out of my iPhone. I was blown away. I thought, I'm going to go back to my old CDs and use that in my truck. It made such a I didn't think it was going to be so different, but it is so much more dynamic for some reason.
It
What do you
it
say about that, Mr. Audio Engineer?
it is, man. Like, because for instance, a CD is 48.8 whatever K, and an MP3 is
Oh.
like gets compressed to death
Is that what
in real
iTunes is
life.
sending over as MP3? Is that, I don't know. I don't even, oh, is it? Oh,
It has so
yeah.
much loss and over compression. So when you compress it and you send it over, it's compressed again. So
Oh,
it's double compressed.
oh,
So my buddy Vance Powell, who does all of Chris Stapleton's Taylor Swift, Vance told me one time we got to go sit down with him, and we're having him listening to our records, and we're chilling out. And he's telling us how he did Stapleton, and Stapleton singing into Mike and working with Taylor and Jack White and all these guys. And I'm just mind blown. Like, I'm never going to work with anybody.
you
You know,
know,
I've worked with like Dustin Welch, um, I've helped run sound for like Randy Rogers and Wade Bowen and um, Cross Canadian Ragweed. Um, I played with those guys. I played with Josh Abbott, Chris Stapleton. I played with Chris Stapleton and Casey Musgraves. I played with both of them.
with the arrival of all of these do-it-yourself recordings, home studios, and all that, it's become much more accessible to become, you know,
Yeah.
it, well, you can call yourself a sound guy or an audio engineer or a sound mixer or whatever. Perhaps you can kind of give us some, I don't know, the top advice is to what people setting realistic expectations. If you think you're going to do it all, probably you're thinking you're yeah, big expectations.
Truth is, a lot of times we have to look. I'm not the greatest vocalist and I'm not the best guitar player. And I just, the best thing in life, I think, is to be real. Just be real. If you're not the greatest, you're gonna know if you're playing, if you're, reality. And I know a lot of guys that play and they're like, I'm absolutely crap. And you hear it, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm putting my guitar away. I've
Yeah.
heard, just be real. Have a few friends. Reach out some friends. Say, hey, would you listen? Give me your feedback. And I'm not just saying like the people that like you. I like people, honestly, that are more critique-ish with my songs. A guy in here, I'm going to say, it's one of my favorite co-writers is Jonathan Helfind. That guy will straight tell you with every song, like, hey, man, you should have done this. You should have done that. I love that from him because I know he's seasoned.
Yeah.
He's a seasoned musician. He's a seasoned engineer. Amazing guy. He's one of my heroes because he'll give somebody honest feedback. There's Facebook there's groups everywhere that you can join that will just give you feedback.
And that honest feedback really is crucial for, artists that are either doing this independently or they're doing it with a band. Maybe they're
Yeah.
not inside the stereotypical music industry sound. But I mean, just kind of the opportunity to get out there and just be authentically you is probably the best piece of advice there.
Always. You are a man with many accomplishments. I know that after taking a couple weeks just to look around and see what's posted about you from interviews that you've done. Thank you so much, buddy, for being honest with us,
Oh,
being
no,
authentic
appreciate it.
with,
Thank you
with
guys for
everything about this evening. We got to have you back for sure because we didn't even get to talk about your entry into the gaming development.
Well, this
Yeah.
is all about God's ultimately in control and he's driving the bus. So he led where we wanted to go, guys. That's all we can do.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
We're going to leave everyone with one more song, Bar Lights. You've been listening to the Roundtable where Heroes Talk, and you can find our interviews on YouTube, Facebook, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and through the Hero Stock Nation podcast network. Be sure to stop by our website, herostock.org, for more information about this year's Country Music Festival and Resource Fair. It's happening on August 15th. For our veterans, there's no cost to attend. Until next time, for Matt Jones, I'm Tom Lamog. Keep the conversation going and keep honoring our heroes.
Starlights falling on your face like Tennessee whiskey, slow and full of grace. It's got me stuck right here, staring at you. Every night I swear I'm gonna break through, but I don't move. I just stay sipping on the words I'll never say. Yeah, no place I'd rather be than you next to me. I almost said it when you looked my way. Had it lined up, let it fade away. I could walk right up, change everything, but I'm scared of what that might bring. Bar lights dancing on your face, and I thank God I got to see your grace. Even if I never make my move, I've been right here loving you. Yeah, I'll sit right here night to night underneath that neon light. Ain't no place I'd rather be than you.